Method acting is a series of training and rehearsal techniques that actors use to identify with, understand, and experience the inner motivations and emotions of the character they are portraying to deliver authentic and expressive performances in theater or cinema. These techniques are based on the Stanislavski method developed by Russian actor and director Konstantin Stanislavski. He explains these techniques in his books, An Actor Prepares, Building a Character and Creating a Role. Robert De Niro, one of the most successful method actors in the history of cinema and the recipient of 2 Academy Awards, perfectly studied the fictional characters he portrayed, thought like them, and sometimes lived like them to present them to the audience in the closest way possible to the original. De Niro started acting at the age of 10 in a local production. He changed schools several times before dropping out at 16. He briefly joined a street gang and was given the nickname Bobby Milk because of his pale skin. He soon returned to his acting career, enrolling in the Stella Adler Studio of Acting and Lee Strasberg's Actors Studio. De Niro believes that actors should always trust their intuition. I always tell actors when they go to auditions, don't be afraid to do what your intuition tells you. When you go to auditions for a role, you are not only trying to present your own interpretation of the character you will portray and make them likable, but you are also showing what you can do uniquely as an actor. Even though your performance in the audition may not match what the director and casting team wanted for that role, if your performance is good, it will always be remembered. There are countless examples of actors auditioning for one role and then being cast for another. Robert De Niro auditioned for the role of Michael's impulsive older brother Sonny Corleone in The Godfather, but the crew decided that he would portray the younger Vito Corleone. Intuitive acting may seem like the opposite of method acting, but in fact, no intuitive performance comes without practice. While learning method acting, you also develop your intuitive acting capacity. When you go on stage or set, you can instantly interpret the character you have studied and thought about beforehand with your intuition. This is exactly what De Niro means when he says, use your intuition. Another characteristic of De Niro's memorable method acting is simplicity, naturalness, and opacity. De Niro, who can take on very different roles, has not always been appreciated for his big roles, but has been critically acclaimed with the roles he portrayed in the simplest and most natural way. His face expressions and gestures in the 1976 film Taxi Driver can be given as an example. It is important not to show it, not to reveal it. People do not try to show their feelings. On the contrary, they try to hide them. Another important aspect of method acting is to take inspiration from real characters, to hang around in the same environments, to act like them, and to talk to them off stage for understanding the nuances of those characters' lives. For the role in The Taxi Driver, De Niro drove a real taxi in New York City for 12 hours a day to better understand the life of a taxi driver. In order to portray boxer Jake LaMotta in The Raging Bull, he trained for hundreds of hours with LaMotta and even participated in 3 real boxing matches. One of his acting secrets is that he has no ego. Known for his modesty, De Niro once stated, "I've never been one of those actors who presents himself as a charming person. I had to decide early on whether I wanted to be an actor or a personality." It's very important to have no ego in method acting, as true acting is about imitating someone else. And to do that, you have to sacrifice your own ego. You can't be a method actor if you're afraid of looking stupid or ridiculous. He puts it this way, don't wait to be famous. Do it because you really enjoy doing it. Here are some examples of how Robert De Niro prepared for some of his roles with method acting. He lived in Sicily for 4 months for Godfather Part 2, learning the local language and lifestyle. He got a taxi license for the movie Taxi Driver and worked in New York City for 12 to 15 hours a day. He also did serious research on mental illness. He lost 30 pounds. He learned to play the saxophone for the movie New York, New York. For the Deer Hunter movie, he asks for a real bullet to be loaded into the chamber for the Russian roulette scene. This request was granted, but they made sure that the bullet was not in the chamber when the trigger pulled. He gained 65 pounds to portray the young boxer Jake LaMotta in The Raging Bull. He did intense physical training to increase his muscle mass. He spent hundreds of hours boxing with LaMotta and fought 3 boxing matches, winning 2 of them. For the Untouchables, he contacted Al Capone's real tailor and asked him to make Al Capone's clothes for the movie. For the movie Goodfellas, he made several phone calls to the real-life Goodfellas gangster Henry Hill to discuss the details of his role. For the movie Awakenings, he spent hours with catatonic patients at Sachs Hospital to perfectly reflect the illness of the character he would portray. In Cape Fear, he recorded the lines in the script on tape, played them to the locals where the movie was to be shot, and learned how to pronounce them with their southern accents. He also did intense physical exercises for the role, lowered his body fat to 3%, paid a dentist $5,000 to make his teeth look bad, and then paid another $20,000 to fix them. In Being Flynn, he spent hours on the streets at night to feel like a homeless man. His appearance was so realistic that he was not even allowed into his own hotel. All of this proves how much effort Robert De Niro puts into giving the most realistic performance. Let's conclude with De Niro's wise words. Personally, I always try to listen, because maybe I'm not getting something. It's important to listen to everyone, as many people as you can, and get their input. But then finally you have to make your own decision about what you're going to do. And that's it. That's what you feel. And that's the most important thing, I think. Because that's where the uniqueness comes in. Because it's you. If you liked the video, please subscribe to my channel. See you soon.